We are Group 7 and we are looking at Chapter 7, Project Cycle. This chapter deals with the life cycle of a project, the principles involved in building a log frame, as well as the development of a logical framework matrix. We have used the pocket watch to demonstrate the project cycle because it comprises of different components that work together for the goal of being able to show the time. A program or project is described as a cycle because it consists of a series of interdependent stages, analyzed not in isolation, but rather in reference to each other, and may be subject to varying interpretations depending on the author or development agencies involved. A program refers to the organizing framework, which consists of an array of activities or processes orientated towards fulfilling a specific objective. It establishes priorities for intervention, identifies projects, places them in a particular order, and allocates resources that will be needed. Whereas a project is generally part of a program, it is an intervention that consists of a set of planned, interrelated activities designed to achieve defined objectives within a given budget and a specific time period. A project can be broken down into 4 stages, which will consist of identification, design, implementation, and evaluation. The identification phase of a project is when the foundations of the project are set in place. Questions like what problem needs to be solved, what will the improved situation look like, how will this be done, and the likelihood of achievement. The portion of the watch that receives, stores, and transfers energy to the watch symbolizes this phase. The problem that has been identified is the basis on which the project is initiated. During the design phase, traits and specific elements of the project actions are defined. The resources needed as well as the timeline linking those resources to the respective activities are also defined. Similarly, once the energy has been released into the wheels, they transfer that energy into the other parts of the watch. The design phase is what sets the pace and gives momentum to the project. The implementation and monitoring stage is when the project is actually carried out to achieve the established objectives. Monitoring takes place alongside the project in coordination with the implementation process. In the same way, the watch embodies mechanisms that control or monitor the amount of energy that is released. Evaluation is the analysis of the outcomes and impacts that the project achieved during implementation or upon completion. The analysis may reveal the need to redirect the project or lead to recommendations useful for guiding similar projects in future. In distinguishing the logic, terminology, and the principles involved in building a log frame, a logical framework analysis or the logical framework approach, LFA, is an analytical process for structuring and standardizing the analysis of a project or program idea. LFA can further be defined as a process involving stakeholder analysis, problem analysis, objective setting, and strategy selection. LFM, the logical framework matrix, often called the log frame, documents the product of the LFA process. LFA is used during the define or identification phase to help analyze the existing situation, investigate the relevance of a project, and identify potential strategies. During this phase, it provides a framework for appropriate project planning with clear objectives, measurable results, and a strategy for risk management. During implementation, the log frame provides a key management tool to support work planning and budgeting. In the evaluation phase, it provides the basis for monitoring and the basis for performance and impact assessment. Furthermore, LFM breaks down into 2 stages which comprise of describe stage and the design stage, which are each broken down into various stages. The describe stage is further broken down into 4 stages. The first being stakeholder analysis, which identifies and describes potential key stakeholders. This is about people's priorities. Different groups have different concerns, capacities, interests, and those need to be explicitly understood and recognized. The participation of all stakeholders can help build a project. Problem analysis identifies key problems of an existing situation, constraints, and opportunities determining cause and effect relationships. Objective analysis focuses on the developing solutions from the identified problems and potential relationships. And strategy analysis involves selecting the most appropriate strategies to achieve solutions. In the design stage, the results of the describe stage are translated into a practical strategy ready to be implemented. This planning phase comprises of preparing the log frame matrix, drawing up work plans, defining resources required, and preparing the project budget. A log frame can be considered as a tool. When carried out properly and updated regularly, it will foster reflections within the project implementing institution, generate early warnings before things go wrong, and allow for corrective decisions. It will improve project monitoring and reporting, and it will facilitate and improve project evaluation, both internal and external. The following table illustrates how a logical framework can be used in a project. It is an analytical process of structuring and standardizing the analysis of a project or program idea by documenting the goals, purposes, outputs, and activities of a project. In conclusion, all the various components of the watch in their respective stages work in relation to one another, interdependently transferring energy to enable the successful operation of the watch as a whole. The same way a pocket watch requires to be fueled through a winding action, a project requires a problem to fuel the beginnings of a project cycle. In reference to the logical framework, the goal and the purpose was to tell the time, the output a tangible watch, and the activities comprised of the various mechanisms, namely energy, wheels, escapement, controller, and time indicator.